Okay, so we're about to do this. All the grinding done, ascended, and the bow is now R1 level 80. Oh wait, no, 90. Okay, yeah, we get 90. So we have a 90 of the new craftable bow, and it ends at 45, 454, 55% attack, and it gets the 16% normal attack and 12% charge attack. But if you hold your ulti, that damage doubles. So let's go test it out. All right, so I don't have every bow user leveled up in Genshin Impact, and I only have level 1 talents on my child, but this will give you a kind of a comparison because we can actually just get different benchmarks for these 3 characters. Because for these 3 characters, those are the only ones I think that are going to matter for any kind of bow user. And the other character I think that matters for bow user would be Venti, potentially, if you wanted to go for an auto attack or charge attack Venti, but I think we can forego these 3 characters for this video. For this, we'll just kind of focus on these 3 characters and see how this kind of shakes out. First up, we're going to do the most common character we want to hear, of course, is going to be Ganyu, and we're going to see how this bow actually compares to other bows. I didn't make a prototype crescent to compare because I don't have the resources to make a prototype crescent, Blackcliff warbow, and 15 other bows because resources are expensive. I can't compare it to Viridescent or whatnot, so because we did Midorshit's Waltz and other things for other weapon videos. So I'm gonna have to do a comparison against a Blackcliff with no stacks on it, which is equivalent to an R1 Blackcliff, so we'll be able to see that as well. And those are the free-to-play accessible weapons anyways, besides Prototype Crescent. And Prototype Crescent overall is a great weapon for her Ganyu, but we're just gonna do this. So with no setup at all, we're dropping about 22k on the Bloom charge attack, 12k on the non-charge attack, 22k in the Bloom again. All right, and that's without any Viridescent Shred or anything like that. Typically, you can boost up Ganyu's damage pretty heavily by adding this on. Okay. Now, this weapon relies you on having your ulti, so let's go ahead and use the ultimate. Break the shields here. And the ultimate, it's going to boost damage as well, so we're going to see some damage increase numbers here. And this is not a freeze comp build. So we're getting about 19k now, 19k, and autos are doing about 26. The autos are not bad though. Autos are okay. Auto attack Ganyu, OP. Let's see the damage on the auto attacks here. Okay. Next up, let's go ahead and use the melt version of Ganyu. This is of course on the freeze build. Okay, let's go ahead and do this and this. I'm just gonna start popping this off real quick. Okay. So about 69k at the high end there. I'm pretty sure the Viridescent Shred kind of wore off from Sucrose because I got hit, but 100k, there we go. Okay, we're gonna do that same team again, except I'm gonna use Blackcliff and not get any stacks on the Blackcliff, so it'll be the same as an R1 Blackcliff with no stacks. Okay. So for the first hit here, it's like 20k again. Slightly less damage with no stacks, I would say. $21k. Okay, so about the same damage with no stacks. All right, and then now because Blackcliff allows you to use the ultimate as well. $21.5. $21.5. Not really need a huge damage increase there. We start it and then use a Pyro nuke build. Oops. Like 48k on the melt over there. But I screwed that up, so let's retry that again because I fucked it up so bad. I missed my shot. 63,000. All right, so Ganyu right now is currently on a melt build, and she is rocking a 4-piece Wanderer set with a stat ratio of 63-177. So it's a pretty decent stat range. And then with the Blackcliff Warbow, because it doesn't increase attack percentage, it's just going to increase crit damage. I'm going to, of course, get higher stat ratio for crit damage, which is going to be 63-13. And even with the higher crit damage ratio, we're going to do less damage because we're not having any stacks in the Blackcliff. So an R1 Blackcliff, of course, is worse than this current weapon on a melt composition. Now let's go ahead and change over to Ganyu's artifacts to a 4-piece cryo build. All right, so on this cryo build right now, we're at 37-252 using a Blackcliff Warbow. And we'll try to test the weapon at R1 potential as well, so we'll get any kills. Okay, so now I'm gonna use a Morgana style team composition with Bennett, so I can test all 4 factors of the damage. Right?
Let's get down to business.
We're hitting about 22k. I'm gonna add in some boosts here. $29k with some buffs up. 31k. Okay.
My lucky day.
All right, so the major thing I know about this build that's going to be very problematic is we are not able to use Ganyu's ultimate during a Morgana comp, which just doesn't seem optimal either way. So not being able to use one of the abilities that makes the freeze composition kind of very good seems kind of problematic.
You know a thing or two.
Because they move a lot.
How's this?
So since the damage is super comparable between the two builds here, but you can't use your ultimate, I feel like this is a very poor option for Ganyu on a freeze composition, just because ideally with a freeze composition, the whole point is to boost all of your damage, moving your elemental skill and your elemental burst equally. So that should help out a lot more. Of course, Childe's not providing the passive talent we're doing best. And then with the Harumi, of course, we have 37-15. All right, now let's test the bow on Tartaggles. So I'm gonna use the bow uniquely first on Tartaggles, and then we'll test them with the vape team. So here's the damage right now for Tartaggles. I'm of course at level 1 talent, so my damage is extremely low. So don't expect the damage numbers are just more for a comparison analysis. Okay.
You know a thing or two.
Okay. And then here's the damage without the ultimate.
My blade. You know a thing or two. Say no more.
All right, and now let's do it with Tartaggle's full burst.
My blade. Move. There's more. The fairy.
What's inside of it?
The fairy.
All right, and let's do the same thing with a Blackcliff Warbow.
Let's get down to business. You know a thing or two.
Now we're gonna go into a full rotation for the Tartaggles here.
You know a thing or two. Move. You know a thing or two. Move. Finally,
And about 25k because we got some kills. Reminds me of Fischl. I do it. So on Child, I like it. I didn't really see any bigger numbers, any smaller numbers. Just like it's about the same. With his stat ratio, he's rocking 52-164 right now with the Hamayumi, and with the Blackcliff Warbow, he's rocking more than that, of course, because he's got a C damage bow. And it's at 52-183. And to be honest, these are the kind of the stat ratios you really could expect with Child, with rocking a 4-piece Hydro set right now. I didn't really level up the talents for Child here because it wasn't really going to be relevant to leveling up the talents for him. I'm consistently just not doing this because I just haven't the resources, because I keep leveling on the next character and I just kept leveling Child on the side. These are extremely fun to play with Zhangling, but I'm doing the same thing with Mona, so it doesn't really matter that much. Don't disregard the talent levels, it doesn't really matter too much here. All right, for the other characters in the build for this test, we were using Bennett, who was rocking, I believe, a Skyward Blade. So I kept since the damage on this is at level 563, it's pretty comparable to a 4-star weapon with 550 attack. Like if you put on, say, let's see, the Blackcliff sword, it's almost exactly the same as the base attack here. So you're not going to see any differences with a 4-star weapon. I just wanted energy recharge on it, so I kept this weapon on. It'll have a little bit more damage than Festering, but you know. Zhangling, I just kept her with a Favonius Lance because I didn't want to like overstilt the damage numbers here. She's rocking 3289. I try to give her as low stats as possible. I didn't even, like, I gave her an emblem set, but I gave her like really low stats. So like, since I gave her like super low stats, I was assuming she would hit not that hard, but you know, she's a freaking monster. So what are you gonna do? And then Sucrose is rocking 782 elemental mastery right now. And she, of course, is at C6, so she's transferring the elemental damage in this test. I didn't test this with Kazuo on purpose. I didn't, and I don't think we need to test Fischl too much further. What I can say after testing Ganyu and Tartaglia here is that with a melt composition Ganyu, this weapon is really strong because you can utilize the full kit of Ganyu and not have to worry about it, and you can potentially end your rotations with Ganyu's ultimate if needed. And then for this Abyss in particular, it's actually really beneficial to use this bow on a melt build, because when going into Abyss, there's of course the Abyss buff that's providing a defense shred. I should try to keep this like as low as possible on stacks so I wouldn't like overstilt the numbers, but whenever you have a full ultimate, this is going to increase normal and charged attacks. So just know that Ganyu and shotgun your ulti, it's really good for this current Abyss rotation. With Tartaglia, of course, we're going to see bigger numbers there as well because of the same thing, but you of course have higher attack speed. So both the Blackcliff Warbow and the Hamayumi are really good options. Now I can see that the Blackcliff Warbow did get some higher numbers near the end, and that's just due to getting a Blackcliff passive stacks. So if you're in a situation where you're fighting multiple enemies over a significant duration of time, like on the 12-1 stage, I believe the Blackcliff Warbow with Refine 1 is probably going to outstrip the Hamayumi as far as damage goes between the two weapons. Now I think that the Hamayumi is probably the better option overall for longer term, especially if you're able to get refines on this weapon, and it's a much cheaper option than going for Refine 5 Blackcliff. So if you're looking for a really good weapon for your child, this weapon is unfortunately though not as good as the Rust. So I don't have the Rust built right now, but the Rust, if you didn't know, is going to increase your base attack by 40% at normal level 1 and go up to 80% level 5. And the Hamayumi is going to go from 16 when you don't hold your ultimate, to 32% when you do hold your ultimate, all the way up to 64%. So at 64% normal and charge attack with a lower base attack and a higher attack percentage, this weapon right here is going to be better than the Hamayumi. However, this weapon's really similar to the Rust in general. So if you're a person that's not able to get a Refined 5 Rust, and you were able to get this is like a pseudo Refined 5 Rust right now. And the nice thing about Child is he kind of ends his rotation a lot of times with an ultimate. So you can then like kind of shotgun your ulti to the very end, or you can use a bow cast at the end instead of for Ganyu. However, I feel like Ganyu is only good with this bow if you're using a melt comp, because with a freeze composition, you're going to want to use the Blackcliff Warbow. And as far as the prototype Crescent goes, I believe the prototype Crescent is the best option overall for the freeze build if you're going to be using a DPS build for the Hamayumi versus the 3. So I think the Blackcliff Warbow is the best balance weapon for Ganyu between both builds and being able to ping pong between two. Prototype Crescent is really difficult to hit the headshots on a melt build, whereas Blackcliff Warbow is pretty easy to do. do. Whereas the Hamayumi is a really good weapon for a freeze composition, I say melt composition, but a very poor bow for a freeze composition. But that's gonna do it for this video. My name's Sekapoko. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys did enjoy the video, of course, like, subscribe, all the fun stuff, and you have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.